Welcome back to The Explainer. Okay, let's just jump right into one of the absolute biggest, most urgent challenges of our digital age. We all know the AI boom is completely transforming the world, right? But behind every single query you type and every image you generate, there is this massive hidden infrastructure working overtime. So today, we're unpacking the core survival strategy that keeps this colossal energy footprint sustainable. Think about it for a second. As AI gets smarter and smarter, what happens to its power consumption? Yeah, it literally skyrockets. The hidden environmental and energy costs triggered by our daily AI habits are just staggering. We're talking about incredibly high-density server racks crunching complex math 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's an absolute engineering marvel, but it generates an unbelievable amount of heat. If we don't manage that heat intelligently, the whole system collapses. So here's our roadmap for today. First, the power monster of AI. Then we'll answer the big question, what exactly is ISO 5001? After that, we'll look at the PDCA efficiency cycle, check out the core survival strategy for these data centers, and finally, why this is an absolute prerequisite for big tech. All right, section 1, the power monster of AI, and how we balance energy and water. Okay, so to wrap our heads around this energy challenge, we use a metric called PUE, or Power Usage Effectiveness. The dream, the absolute ideal PUE, is 1.0. That means every single watt of power pulled from the grid goes straight into powering the servers. Nothing is wasted. On the flip side, an inefficient PUE of 2.0 or higher, that means a data center is wasting just as much power trying to cool the building down as it is running the actual computers. In the age of AI, a PUE of 2.0 is an absolute disaster for the grid. But wow, here's where it gets incredibly tricky. And this really hits the nail on the head of the whole engineering dilemma. To drop that power usage, facilities often switch to water-cooled systems. But look at the trade-off here. Power goes down, but boom, water usage, or WE, spikes up. You end up evaporating millions of liters of local water. Or you go the other way, 100% air-cooled to save the water, but then your power usage goes right through the roof during the hot summer months. It's like this impossible teeter-totter. How do you balance it? Which brings us to section 2. What is ISO 5001, the Energy Management System? So what exactly is ISO 5001, and what does it have to do with data centers? Put simply, it is the international standard for an energy management system, or EMS. But listen, it is way more than just a piece of paper or a certificate to hang on the wall. It's a rigorous, mandatory operational framework. It literally forces data centers to meticulously measure their baseline energy and water usage, and then systematically drive those numbers down using hard data. It turns vague, let's save energy goals into a strict, highly scientific process. I love this analogy. Think of ISO 50001 like a fitness tracker combined with a super strict personal trainer, but for a massive data center. It doesn't just pat you on the back and say, hey, go lose some weight. No, it tracks your vital signs 24/7, your power, your cooling load, your water evaporation, and it enforces a relentless daily routine to make absolutely sure you're getting leaner and more efficient every single day. Moving on to section 3, PDCA, the endless efficiency cycle that forms the heart of this standard. So how does this personal trainer actually work? It uses what's called the PDCA cycle. Plan, do, check, act. First, you plan by analyzing your baseline energy and setting really aggressive targets. Next, you do by actually rolling out the high-efficiency tech. Then, crucially, you check. You relentlessly monitor the building management system to see if your fix actually worked. And finally, you act by locking those wins into your standard operating procedures. It's a continuous, endless loop. It ensures data centers never, ever get lazy with their energy management. All right, section 4, the data center's core survival strategy. Let's look at the do phase in action. To actually hit those brutal ISO 50001 targets, these facilities have to deploy some truly mind-blowing equipment. We're talking free cooling, high-chilled water, electronic expansion valves, automatic tube cleaning, and magnetic bearing compressors. Don't worry about the heavy jargon, let's just quickly break down why these are so brilliant. First up, high-chilled water and free cooling. Back in the day, data centers needed icy 7 degrees Celsius water to cool servers, but modern AI servers, they can handle much warmer water, sometimes 15 to 22 degrees or even hotter, and that is a total game changer. Why? Because it means they can just use cold outside air to cool the water for most of the year. This is called total free cooling. It allows them to literally shut off their giant power-hungry compressors all winter long. The energy savings are just insane. Now, think about the number 0.3 millimeters. Super thin, right? Well, if just 0.3 millimeters of scale, basically hard water stains, builds up inside a condenser tube, the cooling efficiency tanks by a massive 10 to 15%. No way you pass ISO 5001 with that kind of waste. So, they use ATCS, an automatic tube cleaning system. Without ever shutting the system down, it continuously shoots these special sponge balls through the pipes via water pressure, scrubbing them completely clean 24/7. Zero downtime, maximum efficiency. It's genius. Next up, the heart of the whole cooling system, the compressor. Traditional ones need oil for lubrication, but that oil eventually gunks up the heat exchangers and kills your efficiency. The fix? Magnetic bearing compressors. I'm not kidding. The internal shaft literally levitates using magnets. Because there's no friction, it is completely oil-free, permanently preserving that heat exchange efficiency. Plus, if the power blinks out, these frictionless compressors can execute a lightning-fast restart in under a minute, which is absolutely critical to prevent an AI server meltdown. Finally, the electronic expansion valve, or EEV. Look, AI workloads are wildly unpredictable. When millions of users suddenly prompt an AI, the heat load surges instantly. Old mechanical valves just couldn't keep up. The EEV acts like the hyperfast pulse of the system. Using sensors, it instantly micro-adjusts the flow of refrigerant in response to those heat surges. That stops dangerous liquid from slamming into the compressor, a nightmare called liquid hammering, and keeps everything running hyper-efficiently, no matter what the AI is up to. Which brings us to Section 5, the prerequisite for big tech and the real-world business impact. Okay, let's zoom out to the big picture. A data center operating without the strict data-driven framework of ISO 5001, they're basically flying blind. They waste power, they face incredibly strict government carbon regulations, and ultimately, they just bleed money. But a facility with ISO 5001, they unlock incredible advantages. We're talking massive tax benefits, energy audit exemptions, and most importantly, it opens the door to the most lucrative clients on the planet. And that brings us to the big tech mandate. This is absolutely crucial. Global giants like Google, AWS, Microsoft, and Meta, they have incredibly strict ESG commitments now. They simply will not even look at leasing server space in a colocation facility that hasn't achieved ISO 50001 certification. For them, it's a mandatory prerequisite. If a data center can't mathematically prove they are tracking and reducing every single drop of water and watt of power, big tech just walks away. It's that simple. So what does this all mean for us? Well, when a data center uses the ISO 50001 framework to find just a tiny 1% efficiency gain, say tweaking a free cooling threshold or tuning a levitating compressor, at that hyperscale level, it saves entire cities' worth of power and millions of liters of water. It transforms this massive infrastructure into a living, continuously improving organism. So think about this. The next time you use an AI tool, just how much greener will our next AI be simply because we decided to relentlessly measure the data?